I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right. Welcome, all my favorite garden enthusiasts and passionate plant people to the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch, I'm your host, and really great to have all of you along here with me for the show this Sunday. We've got a great show ahead of you here today. So we've got some really special guests coming up here in just a few minutes. We've got our good friends Khang Starr and Christopher Brandsdal joining with us for our new Sunday roundtables coming up here in just a little bit. Really excited about this conversation. These two are really good friends. We've been doing this kind of get together each spring, like the first week of spring. We've gotten together to do this live stream together to just kind of kick off our gardening year and just kind of discuss all those things that we've got planned for what's growing on and all of that sort of stuff with everything. And it's just been really fun. I really enjoy it and look forward to it every single year. And so again, too, timing just worked out perfectly for us for our first roundtable for our Sunday edition here. So again, that's going to be really awesome. So definitely stay tuned for that coming up here in just a little bit on the show as well too. And if you are here right now at the top of the show, be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit the like button, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification so you can be notified of all of our great upcoming shows and videos on our channel and all of that, as well as share with all your friends. Let all your garden friends know that we've got this really great fun show on the weekends here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Urban Gardener channel. And also, big, huge shout out to all of you who are watching our show on the replay and watching it on your own time. It's a live show. It's fun. I love talking with all of the people here during the live show, but sometimes people just can't make it. And I really, really am thankful for all of you who take the time later on in the week to watch our show as well. So big, huge shout out to you, and get down in the comments and let me know that you're here. Let me know what you've got growing on, and as well as anybody else who's here as well too. Let me know if you got any questions or any suggestions as well too for the show. I love hearing all of that that you guys have in ideas for us. Are there some people you really watch and you really enjoy seeing in the gardening community out there that you'd like to see on our show? Then definitely get into the comments and let us know about that, as well as, like I said, some questions or comments, and especially during our discussion segment in just a little bit here. Make sure that when you're ask some questions, and we will feature those there and ask our guests when they're on with us during the show. So definitely do all that there. And just to let you know too, this next week on our show, we are going to be doing a super hot live weekend where we're going to be talking all about super hot peppers. And the Saturday show, we're going to be celebrating the super hot show on Hulu that they are featuring this year. It's called Super Hot, The Spicy Life of Pepper People, and it stars Johnny Scoville. Johnny will be joining with us on our Saturday show as our featured guest, and another star of the show too, Jimmy Pickles, will be joining with us us on our Are You Following Me segment. So that's going to be a fun show, talking all about that show on Hulu, highlighting the pepper community, just a really fun community that I've enjoyed being a part of as I've learned to garden and grow peppers myself. So you can see there, that's one of my Primatali peppers I grew a couple of years ago. And then on Sunday, we've got with us Smokin' Ed Curry. Now, Ed Curry is the two-time Guinness Book World Record holder for the hottest pepper in the world. He created the Carolina Reaper, and now this year he released the Pepper X with well over 2 point some million Scoville rating. I mean, just completely insane, insane amount of heat in one of those peppers. So, going to be really fun to talk to him about how he grows those and just get really into what it takes to develop a passion for growing peppers like that. Developing them and spending the time to cross and develop these really cool super hot peppers. So it's going to be really fun to talk to Ed Curry as well too about that. So definitely be sure to tune in next weekend for that really fun discussion as well too. And yesterday we had a great interview with James Prigioni from the gardening channel, James Prigioni. So definitely go back and check that out as well. We got to meet Joe and Corky from Grow Big TV. So really awesome show yesterday. So go back and check that out as well. So right on. How's everybody doing? How's your week been? We've been having a really great week around here. Lots and lots of things going on. Lots and lots of projects going on out there. It's the first week of spring. So I've got so many different things that I've got to catch up on coming out of winter. So many things I've got to get planted, seeds started. I've already got a ton of things already started. We've got peppers. I've got tons of peppers that are really actually right now just really ready to be up potted. I've got to move them from the smaller 72 cell trays that we keep them under our lights indoors, and then I move them up into larger cups that we use for growing them until they are ready to go outdoors here in about, it'll probably be around the first week of May. So we're still talking about a month, 5-6 weeks away. So they've still got a lot more growing time. We've got a whole nother light setup for them that we move them into. Tomatoes, I just noticed, are starting to pop up as well. I seeded those out just a little while back ago too. So those are also growing under some lights right now, and in the next week or two we'll be potting those up, getting those ready to go outdoors. They'll go out just a little bit earlier than my tomatoes. We are going to hopefully try to get our tomatoes in the ground just as soon as that soil temperature is warm enough during the daytime. I'm going to be set and ready to go. We're going to get them out. We'll do any sort of frost protection or anything like that if we need to, leading up to our last frost date. But it's my intention to get them out there as early as possible this year. So hopefully we can get some really good growth, some good root development and all of that before we really start hitting the high temperatures of our late spring and early summer, because that's always just been kind of a wall that I've hit when it comes to growing my tomatoes. And so I want to kind of try to get ahead of that just a little bit. And that just means I'm going to have to work just a little bit more, making sure I'm protecting these tomato plants when it comes down to it. So let's see here. I wanted to highlight something and show this to you. I was actually reading this just a little bit ago here. Let's see if I can't get this on the screen with all of us here. I'm going to move that and see if I can't add that here. So yeah, I was reading this. This is an article that I was reading called "Blueberry Strawberries Again on the Dirty Dozen List." This was an article, and they go on to say approximately 95% of non-organic strawberries, leafy greens such as spinach and kale, collard and mustard greens, grapes, peaches, and pears tested by the United States government contained detectable levels of pesticides, according to the 2024 Shopper's Guide to Pesticides in Produce. Nectarines, apples, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, And green beans rounded out the list of the 12 most contaminated samples of produce. It's dubbed the Dirty Dozen by the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, an environmental and health advocacy organization that has produced the annual report since 2004. Man, and I'm just thinking about this, as I was reading this and looking into what they were talking about here with this, and I'm sure I've seen this and read this list before, but as I was reading that, I was like thinking, how many of these things are things that I'm actually already growing in my garden, and what a great reason to actually be growing some of your own things in your garden. You know what I mean? Um, and avoid any possibility of these sort of things and these sort of contaminants in your food. It just makes me worry even more about things that are out there, for other people, and what we're doing in our food. When it comes down to it, it is in some sense seen as kind of essential because of the mass need of food that we have for such large populations. And in some sense, I mean, I understand that it's hard to really produce large scale amounts of food without doing certain things in order to protect these large crops. But these chemicals and these sort of things that we can, I mean, it's just, to me, it is one of those real primary drivers for why I grow my own food in my garden, why I even grow in the smaller spaces that I've had in my garden spaces, is, even if they're limited, I'm trying to grow as much food as I possibly can for myself, just to even try to empower myself a little bit more against some of the things that go on in mainstream consumerism when it comes to food. And when you start looking at these, I mean, the strawberries, leafy greens, spinach, kale, collard greens, mustard greens. I mean, well, it says grapes. I haven't had really good luck with grapes, but I could. We have peaches and pear trees out there in our container garden, that they talk about. We grow, the bell and hot peppers. I've got a couple of apple trees out there. We've got blueberry bushes that I'm growing out there. Green beans I grow out all the time, So, it's another reason when I read things like this that I'm really glad that that I am doing at least my own little part to supply myself with this fresh organic food that I'm able to grow for myself right out of my own garden. So that's another just another point that I just like to bring up to people when it comes to why we do what we do as gardeners is we get so much from a garden, as we talk a lot about on our show, whether it's relief from a lot of the things going on in the world, or these things that bother us, and that sort of stuff. By working in our garden, it can be very therapeutic. We get all of this great organic food, and we can avoid some of these other real kind of dangers with larger scale commercialized food. So go out there, definitely, and start yourself a garden. You can grow most any of these things in containers that we talked about right there on that list, on that Dirty Dozen list. Most all of them we grow actually in containers. Even those trees, I produce peaches and pears and apples in container trees around my property. So I mean, we can find some space, as limited as it may be, and grow some food for ourselves. So let's get out there and do that, and let's encourage others to do so as well. So we'll be right back here in just a minute, and then we'll catch up with our good friend Mark. He's got a presentation for us from his gardening course, what they didn't teach you in gardening school. So we'll catch up with that in just a moment here. Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible feature visits. Yeah. What are your favorite things to grow indoors? What are some of those things that you like to grow as far as food? I mean, are there things that you do try to grow, experiment with, all of that sort of things as well too? One of my favorite things, and I grow each and every winter, and I just actually harvested up some of the last ones that I've had growing was microgreens. I grow tons of microgreens throughout the wintertime. It's my favorite indoor food crop that I grow. So definitely. So let me know about that as well too. Let me jump in here too. I want to make sure that we're talking with everybody here. I mentioned that we've got our great moderator Jay Dixon in the comments there, joining us from Ontario, Canada. YouTube's greatest moderator, dropping links and helping out in the discussion in the chat box. Thanks for being here, Jay. Blue Girl joining with us. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Juju B 2407. Emmanuel Arce, the ultimate gardener in the house. Awesome to see you, Emmanuel. Great to have you all here. John Ju joining from Ohio. He says it's chilly and he's got radishes just germinating yesterday. Awesome. Yeah, I've got some radishes that I just put seeds out for when I was outside yesterday. We got our friend Christopher in the chat box there. We'll be talking with him in just a little bit here on the show. Awesome. Connie Davison joining us too as well. Rick, good to see you. Hello, everyone from Rick. Big Will Dog in the house as well too. Thanks for joining me, everybody. It's great to see all of you here. Really awesome to see you. Shawnee joining us, saying getting a snowstorm here and then rain. So just tending to the indoor garden. Awesome. So yeah, definitely. Like I was just saying with our Q&A, our Sunday question, what are some of those things that you like to, food things you like to grow? And, you're tending your indoor garden. I've got, I've just harvested up some of the last of my microgreens. I haven't planted anymore because I've got the space and the lights that I'm using usually for the microgreens during the wintertime is all taken up by my peppers, my tomatoes, and my other things as well too right now. So once we get through all of that, then I'll probably start up another batch of microgreens coming up too. But again, it's one of my favorite things to be growing in my indoor garden. All right, let's see here. Get through and make sure Sam joining with us as well. Howdy. Good to see you. Awesome. Excellent. Thrifty endeavors and adventures. Awesome. Aina says microgreens and mushrooms for indoor food crops. Yeah, I'm not much of a mushroom person, but you know what? I've been really fascinated by mushrooms lately. Ever since I went to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show last year, and we saw this really great display by these folks who had just all of these different types of mushrooms and spore bricks that they had. And I was just so fascinated with them and how they grow and all of that. So this might be something I try, like I do with a lot of other things I grow too, is I grow just to give to other friends and people because I just like growing the plants. So maybe that's something I might do, is try some mushrooms too. That's really great. See, Mama's in the house. Hello, everyone from Mama EC. How we doing? Awesome, awesome. So good to see everybody here. In fact, I almost pop this in here. I better say that, huh? Forgot to put my comment in there. Anyways, great to have all of you here, and great to see you all. And now what we're gonna do is jump right into our Sunday edition segment in the garden with our friend NBC, Mark Boucher Colbert. He's got a presentation from his course, and let's check that out. And then when we get back here in just a little bit, we'll meet up with our good friends from Christopher Brandsdal and Khang Starr here on our Sunday roundtable.
In this lesson, we are going to learn how soaking seeds in a jar of water for some hours prior to planting can dramatically increase your germination success, which really means your garden success. This is going to be an important strategy for spring, summer, and fall planting. But first, let's understand a little more about the seed and what germination means. Imagine, if you will, a familiar sci-fi scene. A spaceship has made a long voyage across the vacuum of the galaxy. To conserve valuable resources, astronauts have been induced into a dormant state. Now, with some planet or object to be explored approaching, astronauts are awakened from their torpor to resume their normal functioning. That, my friends, is not far off from the reality of a seed. Let's consider what a seed really is. A seed is an embryonic plant with very low metabolism, packaged with food reserves and enclosed in a hard outer coating. Just like the astronaut relies on the spaceship or space suit for protection from the harsh outer world, not able to walk and live freely until the new environment is deemed safe, so too with the seed. In a world of harsh temperature extremes and varying amounts of water, the seed needs to be confident that it has found a hospitable environment for growth. One of the ways it gains the confidence to slip out of its spacesuit, so to speak, is by being able to take up an adequate amount of water. This process, called imbibition, causes the seed coat to soften and enlarge. If there is enough water in the environment to cause imbibition, then generally that's a signal that there will be enough water for the young plant to set up shop. Also, many seeds have chemical inhibitors that need to be dissolved by water before germination can be activated. Correct temperature is the other crucial factor in seed germination. Too hot or too cool, and the seed says, just say no to the grow. You may wonder how the seed knows this stuff. It's basically determined by chemical reactions, many of which are highly temperature sensitive. Water and correct soil temperature activate the embryo to begin to grow, and soon we see the fascinating process of the root and shoot emerging from the torn seed coat. Our plant has begun its new life in our garden. When we plant seeds in the earth, we are relying on adequate soil moisture and temperature to initiate germination, but often that's a crapshoot. For example, in my part of the country, the Pacific Northwest, in the spring, water is abundant because it rains a lot, but soil temperatures are cool. In the summer, we have the opposite problem. Soil temperatures are consistently warm, but we have a seasonal drought, so no rain and soils get dry. Come fall, by the time rains return, it's getting cool again and light levels are starting to get too low to support good plant growth. Planting seeds directly in the ground at any of these times, which means basically any time during the year, may compromise the seed's ability to sprout and or vigorously grow. Sheesh! What's a gardener to do? Practically, there's no good way to warm up the soil, at least if you have a lot of it. And of course, we all know that we can wet the soil as much as we want, but when conditions are dry, that can be pretty time and resource consuming. Luckily for us, we can control both moisture and temperature if we just soak the seeds in water indoors before we plant. Here's how it works. When we soak the seeds for a set time in water, they are literally surrounded by the stuff, and they get the message that conditions are perfect for growth. At the same time, if we do it indoors, we are giving most vegetable seeds their ideal germination temperature of approximately 70 degrees Fahrenheit. As you probably know from some paper towel and plastic bag experiments you did back in childhood, you don't need soil to sprout seeds, just moisture and correct temperature. When we soak seeds for a set period at room temperature, we have broken their dormancy, woken the astronaut up, as it were, to start the mission. And the mission, from our perspective, is to grow tasty food. When we talk about soaking, I keep saying, for a set amount of time. And I say that for a reason. Seeds are alive, and as they begin to grow, they both need oxygen to use their food, and they give off carbon dioxide as a cellular waste product. If they can't get enough oxygen or can't get rid of their carbon dioxide, they will die. So yes, you can drown a seed. There's one other cool fact that I've got to share right now that makes this seed soaking tip pure gold. Once seeds germinate at their ideal temperature, which remember is about a comfortable 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the young plants can actually grow in a much wider range of soil temps. That's huge because it means that we can jumpstart the germination process in the cold spring or the dry summer and rely on the germinated seed to take it from there once planted in the perhaps not ideal ground. Let's look at this little experiment I did to prove the point. Here I have 2 containers of pea seeds in soil, which I refrigerated right after planting. In one container, I just put the dry pea seeds in the soil. In the other container, I soaked the pea seeds for 6 hours prior to planting. But after that, they have both been growing at the same refrigerator temperature, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the temperature of our soils in the spring. Can you see the big difference that pre-sprouting makes after 1 and 2 weeks? When you pre-sprout seeds, you take on an additional level of responsibility for them because once you have called them out of their slumber, there's no going back. When the seeds have completed their soak and you have drained off the water, that is the ideal time to plant them. But for many seeds, you have a couple-day window in which to plant. When you soak seeds and don't have time to plant them immediately, you'll need to treat them like seeds you are sprouting for a salad. They need to be rinsed with water twice a day and drained immediately. As you observe your soaked seeds, you may notice a small white pointed projection appearing through the seed coat. That is the radicle or baby root, the first thing to break through the seed coat. That's also your warning sign that you must plant soon or prepare to forfeit the batch. As the roots emerge, they will eventually tangle all together, making it nearly impossible to disentangle them. It's a bad plant hair day if ever there was one. At that point, you have to compost the mess and start over. If you plant the ball of tangled seeds, there'll be just too much competition and you'll wind up thinning out most of the young plants anyway. Let me give you another pro tip for dealing with really small seeds. Big seeds like peas and beans are easy to plant after they've been soaked. They are moist, but they don't stick together. Little seeds, like carrots for example, whole different story. While we don't really think about it in this way, water is electrically sticky, and when it touches small things, its sticky power tends to hold them together. If we try to plant the carrot seeds after pre-sprouting, they'll stick to our fingers and each other, resulting in seed all over us and a very clumpy distribution in the row. For small seeds like carrots, I find it helpful to mix the moistened seeds with very fine peat moss or coconut fiber, which then absorbs the moisture and helps the seeds break free of each other and evenly distribute through the fiber. On an unrelated note, sifted coconut fiber has a very calming and soothing effect on the personality. During my teaching days, I have seen some very rough macho types be virtually unable to stop running their hands through the coconut fiber and exclaiming, "This feels so good, I can't stop." Okay, enough talk. Let's review what you need to soak seeds and go through the entire process visually, naming all the equipment you need and exactly how to do it. So I'm going to pretend it's a cool spring day and I want to plant some pea seeds. I know the soil is about 45 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and that under those conditions, my direct planted peas could take almost a month to sprout. A month! And while they are shivering in that cold, dark soil, they may become prey to nasty fungi and bacteria, perhaps never to emerge. I'm going to help them by pre-sprouting the seeds. First, I'm going to open up the seed packet, pour the seeds into a mason jar, and use an elastic band to attach the seed packet to the jar. I like to keep the seed packet handy so that I remember what variety of seed I'm planting. Sometimes I'll also drop a plastic tag in with the seeds, which can follow the seeds outside later when I'm ready to plant. Then I fill the jar up with water and set a timer so I don't forget to drain them. I like to leave the jar on the kitchen counter as a fail-safe. If my alarm doesn't go off, or if I don't hear it when it does, I'm going to come back to the kitchen before the end of the day or before I get going in the morning, and I'll be able to see my soaking seeds and rescue them from drowning. At this point you may be asking, but Mark, there are so many kinds of seeds out there. How do I know what is the most effective time to soak each? Seed soak times do vary, and a little internet research will indicate how long your particular seeds might need soaking, but a good general range is anywhere between 4 and 12 hours. That gives you a lot of leeway and gives the seeds a lot of what they need. If you're curious about the optimal soaking time for each seed, then you can also design your own experiment, and I illustrate this in the section Experiment Like Crazy. After the soak is finished, if I can, I'll just go ahead and plant them right there and then. If I can't, I'll keep rinsing them 2 times a day until I can plant. If my seeds are small, like those carrots I mentioned, before I plant them, I'm going to mix them with some sifted peat or cocoa fiber, which will allow me to plant them smoothly and uniformly outdoors. Then I'm going to sit back with a big smile on my face, knowing that I've just helped my garden plants overcome one of their biggest hurdles in life, getting going, and that they will reward me for it with a much faster harvest, no matter what time of the year.
All right, all right. Another fun lesson from our friend Mark Boucher Colbert, and that's one of the things we're going to do. We'll highlight maybe about once a month or something one of his courses that or course segments that he has on his What They Didn't Teach You in Gardening School online gardening course. As you can see, that's one of the reasons why we really like having Mark involved with our show, is that he's just really fun. He's got a great perspective. He's a great educator when it comes to gardening and teaching people and just taking it down to a nice simple level so that we can understand some of those more difficult words, as I saw everybody in the chat box talking about let's see, because I got to make sure I even pronounce it right. Imbibation. But yeah, so even I learned that word as well too. So so yeah, it's it's just that let's see here. I think Jay popped that up saying too, the immersion phase starts with the entry of water into the seed. This water is distributed in crevices, cracks, and flaws in the seed cover and is absorbed by seed tissue. Sam was like, yeah, I didn't know it had a name. Me either. So again, too, great things that we're learning here right on the show from our friend Mark Boucher Colbert. So he'll be joining with us and we'll be doing some sort of in the garden next week. I think we're gonna go into a segment. I'm gonna be talking about peppers. Of course, we've got our pepper weekend coming up this next Sunday. So I'll be talking about some of the peppers and the different things that we're growing as well too. And then we'll catch up with Mark the next week after that. But yeah, and then Jay did put a link for us in the comments there so that you can check out What They Didn't Teach You in Garden School. And I do believe we also have a link down in the description as well. So let's see here. I think we're just about time to go ahead and we'll welcome in one of our guests at the moment. Hopefully our other guest will be joining with us real quickly here. But let's go ahead and bring in our good friend Christopher Brandsdal to join with us here. There we are. There we are.
Hi.
Hey. How we doing?
Oh, fantastic.
I sent a message to Khang. He might be catching up with some things, getting set up. I'm not sure, but
he has kids.
He's got kids. That's right. That's right. and it's a weekend, so I'm sure there's plenty that he's got going on. So
Yeah.
we'll just have him join in with us when he comes in here, hopefully pretty soon. So how's everything been going with you? It's great to see you, man.
Hectic.
Here we are. Yeah, here we are again. It's spring, right? Got to get together in spring.
Winter.
Spring is still winter for you, right? You really only got two seasons, right?
Yeah. Well, I have 4, but 2 of them are not that long.
Right, exactly. You briefly see them at all.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I get you a banner up. At least for now until Kane gets here. Boom.
Yeah.
There you are. I already had one set up for both of you, but you're seeing how it's just you right now.
Yeah,
Sure
he's probably running late. I think it was late also last time.
Right, exactly.
Just to rat him out.
That's right. Might as well keep with the fashion, right? There we go. Right on. So here we are. Like I said, it's the first day of spring anyways, whether you're buried in snow up there or some of us are getting our gardening season going. As I was kind of mentioning to you a little bit before we got the show started, it's just kind of that time where things tick up. Even I start to see more people are watching videos and all of that sort of stuff as people are really getting excited for the coming growing season. So you might still be in that planning phase for outdoor growing, but what are some of those things that you've got growing indoors right now as you kind of overwinter things and do things like that? I mean, you're big with the grow room stuff, so I'm excited to hear about some of the things that you might have going on or plan on growing on.
Now I have nothing special. I have some galangal growing behind me there in the pot, and I have a citrus tree, and also I have some tomatoes. So I've been picking those every single lunch, and there is just some few things here and there. It's nothing big, but I also started my plants for the outdoor season this year. So I have all my peppers going, hopefully, and some tomatoes also. So I'm starting up the season, but you can kind of feel it in your finger, the tingling of the season nearing, and it's just a fantastic time, even if it's snowy outside and everything is frozen solid. It's still you can see the sun is starting to go higher on the sky, and
Yes.
it's the feeling of a good start.
Yeah, the longer days, the sun staying out, even though we play around with the time schedule on some of that, but it's great to have the sunlight out longer in the day. And then again too, I can also see all around me right now all of the fruiting trees throughout all of the city right now are all starting to come alive. All these flowers, all the fruit tree flowers are starting to bloom everywhere. So yeah, it creates that sensation. We could feel it. It's starting. Everything's coming back to life.
Yeah. And wherever you live in the world, it doesn't matter what season, what your season looks like. For you, spring is when things are starting to bloom and things are going. That's more summer for me. And for me, spring is the birds are starting to chirp outside, and you get those days that the sun is so strong that it actually starts melting the snow. And we just have different references for the exact same thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But so again too, what's going on? What you got planned for this year? You got anything going on this year? I know when we last left off last year talking to you, you had plans of putting together this great grow room.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff, and you're really looking into that. So what's kind of happened since the last time we've talked to you and where you're at now?
Yeah. When was the last time we were actually speaking? Was it
Oh
in this autumn?
yeah, it was. It was actually just this last. Yeah, it would be this last autumn, fall. I
Yeah.
had you on as one of our featured guests for the Saturday show.
Yeah. So things are happening. I've been crazy bogged down with work as always, but things I to keep me going, I think things are getting better. But
Yeah,
it rarely gets better. But this time I really hope for it. So my plans for this year, just to take the garden side of things, where I have my greenhouse outside, I'm still going to do a full season there. I've
okay.
been lucky with my pepper starts this year. They look better than ever, I think. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to grow very, very few varieties, but I'm going to grow more of each and every one. I've always done the way that I've been making one plant for each
Yeah,
variety, and kind of just been happy with some and disappointed with some. But this year I want to go all in and do a series of every single one of the ones that I want to grow. So for instance, I'm growing the my one of my family's favorite peppers, the Jimmy Nardello. We have I think I started five plants that are looking amazing, that are going in the greenhouse as soon as possible. But I think in the end of next month, hopefully within almost a month, I would say, I might be able to put those out into the greenhouse. And also, you sent me some seeds years ago for what is it called? A giant monster or yellow
the
monster?
super heavyweight, right?
Yes, yes, super heavyweight. Yeah,
Super heavyweight. Oh, I
yeah.
love those.
It's a yellow bell pepper that are. I grew one this year. It was seriously this big. It was larger than one of my kids' heads.
Oh
So
my!
it
Did you
was
save the seeds from that one?
yeah, that's what I did. So
Oh,
I
perfect.
I have grown. I have five plants of that also going. And what I discovered this year is that that pepper is really good green. So you can harvest it early and just enjoy the pepper without having to wait for the ripening. Not all peppers are great eaten green, but that monster or the that
Yeah.
plant is just fantastic green. So I'm growing more of those because I want to harvest with throughout the season. So and they also are looking so nice. They're putting out flowers now, and yeah,
Yeah, and even growing in pots too, some of those
yeah,
larger fruits of certain plants don't grow as big as you would normally get when you're growing in a pot. But even that super heavyweight, I grew some few years back. I mean, they were just like you said, monsters. I
yeah,
mean, bigger, almost bigger than I could hold in my one hand. It was just
yeah,
they were just insane for a size of a bell pepper like that.
yeah.
But
But so
yeah,
many people um, are under the impression that it's not worth growing bell peppers because people think that you can get two peppers from the plant and that's kind of it.
right.
But if you get a healthy plant, you can get so many bell peppers from one single plant. And also, if you really enjoy bell peppers and that's kind of the thing that you want to grow and eat, you should have more than one plant. Because
Oh yeah.
if you compare the size of a small pepper compared to a giant bell pepper, it's kind of self-explanatory that you can't have the same amount of peppers. But if you spread out a little bit more and instead of growing one single plant, you can grow several, and then you can have bell peppers to eat all season. So
Yes.
yeah.
Grow
And also
plenty. That's what I say.
yeah, and I'm growing some other fun things also. I am growing some sugar rush peaches and some sugar rush stripey and these kinds of things.
Yes.
And I'm also gonna, of course, have the Carolina Reaper. I'm gonna have some Trinidad Scorpions and some of those because I actually enjoy using those as flakes throughout the season. So
Yeah.
we actually eat those, but you just have to spread them really thin.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. As I was mentioning to everybody just a little bit earlier, we got our hot pepper weekend this next week for our show, and it's going to be fun to talk to Ed Curry, the creator of that Carolina Reaper, and talk about his new Pepper X.
Yeah.
So yeah, those hot ones are really fun to grow, and like you said, I might powder some up or something in order to use them as kind of like flakes or powders, and that sort of thing, so I can kind of just get as much heat as I want versus eating a whole pod like you. I just can't do that when it comes to those super hots like that. But I love growing the plants. I love growing out those really cool pods. There's nothing like getting some really cool super hot pepper pods just come to ripe. They're just
Yeah, but
really
they have
fascinating looking pods.
yeah, and the taste is completely different. So you are not
Mhm.
experiencing the full range of pepper
Yeah.
taste unless you taste one of those peppers. But you really need to condense it down, not to have too much at one time.
Yeah,
You need
sometimes
to.
that heat can just overpower any sort of taste, huh?
Yeah, but if you just use a little bit when you're making hot sauces or salsa or something, just put it a
Mhm.
little bit in. The
Yeah.
taste is there, so you can get the taste without all the excessive heat that you get from it.
Yeah. It's like the 7-pot peppers. I always loved the name, the 7-pot
Yeah,
peppers, because it's 1 pepper for 7 pots of chili is
yeah,
how I've had it explained to me. So you only need 1 for 7 pots,
yeah,
meaning you only need a seventh of that pepper for just 1 pot of chili.
yeah.
Just a little bit will do.
And I would say that also sounds reasonable if I'm thinking of how much I would use myself from
Yeah.
those super hot peppers. But
Mhm.
it's very strange, and people take the peppers differently. For instance, for me, I get knocked out by jalapenos and those regular chilies. What's they
Yeah.
called? The red
Like
ones.
like serranos or
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I, I get
serranos,
I get
cayenne.
knocked out from those cayenne
Yeah.
peppers and stuff like that. Those
Mhm.
are real killers for me. But they are capsicum annum, and I don't handle that too well. But what I
Yeah.
do like is habaneros. I can eat
Oh, wow.
habaneros. I eat habaneros almost every single day, yeah, at dinner time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so it's a different burn, and my body reacts more pleasant to that than to the capsicum annums. So
yeah.
it's really different what people think of.
So you probably really like those Sugar Rush Peach then too.
Yeah, and those are Bacchutums, but they are strong. But I love
Yeah,
them. It's a snacking
yeah,
pepper. It's something I can handle a little bit of, so I can go out in lunchtime and grab a Sugar Rush Peach without being just devastated. So
Here I see something that Jay was mentioning too, and I'm reading it and I'm thinking, wow, can't believe I didn't mention this. But Jay is asking, can we explain briefly to new viewers where our locations are? So I don't think I mentioned that Christopher's joining us from the cold, snowy mountains of Norway. And hopefully we'll get Kang in here. Maybe he's really got something going on here, and he joins us from Texas when he comes in. And then I'm in Southern Oregon.
yeah, so all over the world.
It's a worldwide show today for sure. Definitely some real different growing environments too
Yeah,
between the three of us. Mine being just a little bit more Pacific Northwest, warm, and he's more, like that Texas hot, and
yeah.
you've got the cold, snowy mountains of Norway. So
But the fun thing is that we all grow the exact same things.
right,
Yeah,
exactly, and it really goes to show that there's we can all really grow these similar things almost anywhere. It's just, some of us got to do a little bit different things in order to attain those sort of successes in growing.
Yeah. Yeah, but as I was talking about when we were speaking in the fall, I was talking about my grow room. It's been shut down for a year now. I've been making tons of videos from my grow room for many years, and it's kind of been my go-to studio where it's easiest for me to make content. So I really wanted to get back into that. And my plan was to rebuild the existing grow room that I have. It's about 30 square meters, so I think that's 300 square feet or something like that. And I wanted to kind of see what I could do with maybe raising the roof a little bit, so it would be easier for me to grow coffee and bananas and stuff like that. And then my initial plan was to rebuild myself, but I see that my time just doesn't cut it. So I need to do something other than that. I need to get somebody in to be able to do that. And what I ended up doing was contacting some contractors. I don't know what they're called, carpenters or
Right.
something like that. And they came in, and we've been kind of going back and forth with ideas and the pricing and stuff like that for the last couple of months. And so we ultimately decided on just scrapping the whole plan, because the grow room as it is now, it's built on an old stable we had with the horse there when I was a young child. And the fundament or the concrete slab that everything is based on it's old, it's slopey, it's cracked. It is not a good foundation for spending too much money. So we kind of just said, yeah, let's scrap that idea and see if we can do something a little bit crazier. So what we ended up with, the idea now is to behind my office here is the garden that I have, where I had my grow box, the infamous grow hinged hoop house thing I made and everything. It's been our main garden. That thing, that area is now going to be slabbed, and I'm going to build a complete new building with higher roofs. And as I'm going, I'm making more and more crazy ideas, but I'm thinking something in the line of 500 square feet, which is 50 square meters here in Norway. And I'm thinking of making it a really square building that is much taller than regular roof height inside. And I'm also thinking about making the roof flat, so I could have a strawberry garden on top of the whole building and have a big open space inside where I can do all my growing and have water and electricity and everything put in from the ground. And I've also been thinking about having a large section of the floor be missing and just go straight down into the dirt, so I can grow avocados and I can grow mangoes and all those types of things that have massive root systems that could be grown inside, but still be connected to a larger reservoir of dirt. So it's a crazy plan, and it's a very expensive plan, but yeah, I'm going for it. So construction is going to start now when the snow eventually goes away, and hopefully the building will be ready by next year.
Right on, right on. Let's see. There was a question a moment ago, kind of following along with peppers. We were talking about what's the best bell pepper. They say they're in 6A, love thick, heavy walls and green for northern areas. Yeah, well, I mean, that super heavyweight, the one we mentioned, is really great. If you get your hands on some of those seeds, that's a really great one.
Yeah.
Another like big one too, I got from Baker Creek a few years ago, called Yellow Monster, was another one. Cool. It's more of like a longer type of bell than the traditional bell pepper, but those are really, really good as well.
Yes. There is a lot of good bell peppers. I really don't remember. I made a video about one some years ago, and it was I think it was a Lebanese bell pepper or something.
Mhm.
But that was a little bit thin walled. But it was really fun because it was so different, but still had the good qualities of a bell pepper. So. But there are
Yeah.
so many different varieties. But I think that if I can find one that is very good green and very good ripen, then it's a winner for me either way. So the super heavyweight, it's delicious either way, and
Mhm.
you can grow that to any size. It looks like.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly. And another one I really like too is kind of a smaller bell. Another one that I got from Baker Creek as well. It's called Etudia or Etuda, Etiuda. I think I might have the spelling not quite right, but it's something like that. That
yeah,
one is really delicious, like and very thick walled, very juicy. I love that one. That's one I'm going to try to be growing most each and every season.
yeah,
And then there's one called Lesia, Lesya, and
okay,
Lesia is like a heart-shaped type of pepper, really sweet, really deep red, almost a dark color to it. Almost just looks like a heart growing on the plant. And those are also very sweet, thick-walled, delicious as well too. So they're not quite bells. The Etudias are more bells, but they're just a bit smaller. But those are really, really good varieties as well.
I just need to show the. Oh, sorry.
Oh, oh, oh,
The
oh
one that I
yeah, look at that. Dude, that's as big as your head.
It is, and then we had this pepper. We had several dinners to consume the whole pepper because it's so enormous that one bell pepper is sufficient for
Wow.
several days.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm hoping that I have to check too because mine's all on a number system. So I got to check and make sure. But I should have hopefully some new good super heavyweight plants that hopefully I can grow this year and probably do one of my first like isolations. I don't usually isolate plants, but I want to make sure I maintain those seeds,
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm definitely going to try to isolate those, grow those in another part of the garden, maybe even some other separate place completely isolated so that
yeah,
I can save seeds of those too and
yeah.
keep
That's
growing them.
that's one of the advantages of growing in a greenhouse like I do, because you will get a lot of bees and things like that outside, which will cross pollinate. So it's not decent to grab the seeds. But for me, I never had any problems with any seeds that I saved from the greenhouse because there's really not that many insects in the greenhouse, and you avoid a little bit more of the things that contributes.
Yeah, yeah, to that cross pollination for sure. And that's just kind of my thing, as I like growing all sorts of different varieties of peppers each and every year. And there's only a few that I've come across that I want to grow all the time. So every now and then I've got to, take an effort to try to save seeds or do something, some sort of isolation, because most of the time I just grow them all right together, right out in the garden, and let the bees and the pollinators do their thing. So I don't save seeds from my peppers usually because I let that free,
Yeah,
the free flowing pollen, just going wherever. So, and I have actually grown a volunteer pepper out that just volunteered up the next season out of some seeds from a variety. And again, we were growing maybe 20 different peppers all in one area, so I got this strange looking pepper pod the next season, and it actually had a little bit of decent heat to it. I gave
yeah,
it a shot, gave it a try, and did that on camera. I don't usually try that sort of stuff. I didn't know what I was going to get, so
yeah.
luckily it wasn't too hot. It wasn't hotter than a habanero at least, but Yeah, you do get kind of some strange crosses sometimes.
I think I saw Matt's peppers. Was that correct? Is he here now?
Matt's
Yeah,
peppers.
I think you
Yeah.
you had it. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
he actually sent
Oh,
me some really strange seeds. And just give me 2 seconds. I'll grab a pepper to show you.
okay. Right on. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, some of those volunteers though can be really cool. A lot of pepper growers really like those strange different crosses that happen, but sometimes they can get real funky too. Ooh, what do
Take a
we
look
got
at.
here? Is that variegated?
Yeah, it is. It is just white.
Wow.
Isn't that a strange thing?
That's amazing. Which pepper? What pepper is this called?
It's called Matapino. It's named after Matt's peppers, I guess. He has been crossing these peppers, and there's some fun, interesting history about this plant. Also, how he collected it and everything. And yeah, it is so much fun. So this is kind of like my project where I really don't know, will it survive out in the greenhouse? Will I have to grow it indoors, or what should I do with it? So
Yeah.
it's a jalapeno cross. So yeah, it's it's just so funky looking. So
Yeah, yeah, that is, and again, too, one of the reasons why I love growing peppers is from plant to plant, sweet to hot, all these different variations within the plants. And I've been really actually fascinated with some of the darker ones, and you get these real dark pigments and dark,
yeah,
leaves, almost black leaves that grow on some of these plants. But to
yeah.
see one with white and some variegation is really great. I've got to get my hands on some of those seeds too. Grow
I
some
don't
of
know
that, for sure.
how it I don't know how it photosynthesizes, because there is so little green on those leaves that yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you see some of those white plants that really have really heavy white, there's some monsteras that I
Yeah,
see that are really kind of white like that I'm just fascinated with. It's like,
yeah,
how do they even grow and get so big and absorb whatever, like you said, photosynthesis that they can do,
yeah.
I guess.
I have a fun cross going this year that I made several years ago, and finally I was able to sprout it this year. It's a cross between a shishito and a sugar rush peach, which
Oh,
almost isn't supposed to be possible because
yeah.
they're from two different families. So the shishito is an annuum, and the sugar rush peach is a baccatum. And it's really hard to get viable seeds from crossing of those peppers. And when it's sprouted, the seed leaves, which are normally kind of pointy, they were
Yeah.
completely round. It looked like a clover or something. So
Oh,
I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with that plant and how it develops.
yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. You'll have to keep me posted on that. I'll be keeping an
Yeah,
eye on your Instagram. You got to make sure you put some pictures of that for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Let's see here. We had a question here, another pepper question that showed up here. Darth X was asking, how do you get pepper plants to double their production? Now, again, I'm not sure, there's some methods of like some people talk about topping plants so that you can multiply their stems and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything that you've found in pepper growing that you've noticed more production out of a plant by doing something?
Yeah, definitely. Have an older plant, so start it way sooner and maybe trim it back. That really isn't a large problem. Just keep it going for a longer period of time. That's the way to start it for me. But to
Yeah.
really achieve larger yields, it's all about the amount of soil you can provide for the plant. When I grow in containers, it's really hard to get those enormous plants. But when I grow it in ground, I get plants that are way taller than me also in the greenhouse, pepper plants. So that's really isn't any problem. And also I've been growing indoors where I've collected almost 1,000 pods from one single plant grown indoors. But that's
Wow.
also just about the amount of soil, or in some cases also grow hydroponically in water.
Yeah.
It's all about providing that, because the plant will not exceed in size where it really needs the root area to be able to grow. And I've seen some fun videos. I was looking at what is it called, the Naga Morich, or what's it called, a pepper grown
Yeah.
in England. There's a video on YouTube where they have grown it in greenhouse, and they have several different plants from the same start grown in different container size. And it is amazing to see the difference in size and yield that you get from the container size. So
Yes.
they grow, the largest one is grown in 300 liter container, which is a huge thing. But
Yeah.
they harvested, I think, 10,000 peppers or something from one plant. So or if it was more, I really don't remember. But it is, yeah. So search up Naga Morich in on YouTube after this
Yeah.
video, and yeah, it is astonishing to see how large you can grow those peppers, and the yield you can get if you provide the manure and soil and everything. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, too, a lot of things come down to soil, and again, what we're doing and allowing for root structure development, and the size of the containers really matters a lot when it comes to a lot of them. I mean, you can get, and believe me, I get plenty of output from my pepper plants that I grow in just the 5-gallon wicking earth buckets that we grow. But if I was to have a 10-gallon, or if I was to have a 20-gallon, I could definitely increase my production for sure off of our plants. And then again, too, like you said, is also pushing them. Peppers are something that can be perennials.
Yeah.
That we don't think about, that we grow them mostly as annuals, especially, if, for outdoor growing in a lot of regions, it's just not going to overwinter. But if you have the ability to bring a plant indoors, put it under some really good lights during the winter time, you can extend the growing season into another year. And then that's going to, like you said, that's going to increase the size of the plant, which then kind of, again, would, and ultimately, you'd think, double the output of what you're getting from it as well, too.
Yeah, and I've grown peppers indoors for several years, the same plant, and they just get sturdier and better yield, and no flower drops or anything. It's just a large, healthy plant. So the best thing to do is, of course, have the plant outside the whole summer, and cut them all the way back. You can just have a stump of this size, and just
Mhm.
bring it inside, put it somewhere not too warm, not too cold, and it really doesn't need that much lighting also, just
Yeah.
to overwinter them. You can do that like you do with some other garden plants, and just put it outside again next year, and if it sprouts back, then yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Are
be
you
beautiful.
taking and removing all the soil before you're bringing it
No,
indoors?
no. Yeah, well, if I bring them indoors, but I don't do that to my grow room, because
Right.
there's so much at risk when you have such a large grow room that I have, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to take the risk. I much rather keep my indoor plants indoors and my outdoor
Mhm.
plants outdoors.
There
So
you
I'm not in short supply of pepper plants.
Right.
There's always something growing somewhere.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. And John was mentioned just a little bit ago. Peppers love mulching. Yes. Yes. It's a good way too, especially if you live in those warmer regions, to make sure that your plants are staying moist too. You want that soil not to dry out. I mean, pepper plants can handle a little bit of drying. I mean, you don't want to keep them saturated and wet all the time. You do want to let the soil kind of dry out just a little bit, but you don't want it to completely dry out. You don't want anything in containers to completely dry out, actually. That's when you start dealing with hydrophobia, or just the your soil becoming hydrophobic, and not, try to get something wet again after it's been completely dried out is just such a it's a tough task. You know, you got to really let those things soak. So definitely use some mulching and that sort of stuff. And I take leaves that I get from my trees and neighbors' trees that I even save into the next summer season to put around the base of my containers, just to help hold on to that moisture.
And that's also the complete opposite of what I would do with my peppers where I live, because what we have problems with is that the peppers get too much moisture, and they don't like that, because peppers, as you said, they like to dry out, and they really don't like to sit in water. And if you live in a place where there's a lot of rain constantly, then you need to make sure that the soil is as draining as possible. And also in my greenhouse, I have a greenhouse which is 500 square feet, and my peppers are in exact the middle of the greenhouse. But after June, I don't water.
Yeah.
So I don't water. They just get the moisture from the air, and they also get it from deep down into the soil, because we have a lot of moisture and we have a lot of rain and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't water in the greenhouse after, say, mid-June. I don't water at all in the greenhouse, and they just
so being on the mountains like you are, rain is just constantly flowing down the mountainscape there, so it's just keeping your soil all around your greenhouse.
Yeah, and so even if the soil isn't directly getting hit by water, it just stays moist the full season.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love the idea of your greenhouse too. You know, the geothermal setup, you know, keeping things going so you can keep growing throughout the seasons, really to extend your seasons really well too. So again, that's probably, you know, again, a really great place. Greenhouses. I don't have one. I would love to have a greenhouse. It wouldn't really be that much useful to me during the summertime, but man, I could sure extend my seasons in the wintertime if I had one for sure.
Yeah, but you are lucky that you really don't need it, because you can grow peppers, you can grow tomatoes. I can't. So it's kind of the only option for me if I want to do regular stuff like that.
Yeah. Right on. Excellent. Well, I don't know if Khang's going to be making it today. He must have had something come up or something. I didn't.
Yeah, I sent him a message just to rub it in. So
right.
I think he just forgot about it.
He might have just forgot. I did send him a message the other day though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll manage. I guess that's just another excuse for us to do it one more time.
That's right. That's right. Again, we'll have to just come back together again too. We're definitely gonna make sure we do that. Anyway, so what else we got growing on? I mean, you excited about anything this year? You got, I know we talk about getting back into doing videos and things like that. I remember last time you were saying you were working on a few.
Yeah, I've been working on a few, and I have one. My new channel is starting just right about now. Which is the electronic things. I've been back and forth a little bit with Khang on the new Botanium grow system I made. I sent it over to him, and he was gonna put it into his system, and so we're just about doing that. So there's gonna be more of that, and hopefully in the summertime I can get some more spare time to be able to get back into the videos. But I am all my excitement lies around the new grow room that I'm going to make. I'm gonna completely document the whole building of that, and I already told the people that are making it that I'm gonna run around with a camera. it's just how it is. So I'm gonna do everything from start to finish on that, because I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a little bit outside of what what regular people would ever consider healthy gardening, but
Right.
but I feel somewhat responsible to be able to document that. And also
Yeah.
the things that I will be able to do there is it's gonna be completely crazy. Looking at what I've been able to do in the grow room that I've been using until as far, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
I've had bananas growing to the ceiling, and I have
Yeah.
coffee beans harvested. I have guava, all sorts of things, and just to think of a space where I would have almost double the size in area,
Mhm.
and also almost double the height in ceiling height.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be crazy. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that from my office space. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just gonna run with it, and it's gonna be awesome. So I will definitely be back with a lot of videos on that once I get into the construction of that. It requires a lot of time. That's why I have to tone down the rest of the gardening, because I need to focus on getting back into that whole thing. But once
Yeah.
I'm there, it's gonna be freaking awesome.
I know, man. I'm really, really excited about seeing this. That's why I um, kind of push along with you. I'm like, come on, hurry up. We got to get some videos out. I got to see this. This is great.
Yeah.
Because following you over the years, like you've mentioned, you've grown some just amazing things in an indoor space. And again, to mention, you're growing in Norway again, where you've got these just, you wouldn't expect banana plants. You wouldn't expect getting these big, full grown, I mean, like a monster coffee plant. I think that was what the plant that was in the picture we used for our show thumbnail is, and I believe you also grew that hydroponically as well too. So it's this cool science involved with growing these really cool things that don't really belong in some way, that I think makes a lot of what you're doing and what you're growing in your growing space is so interesting and I think so fascinating. So I'm really, really excited about seeing more content on that level because it's really unique compared
Yeah.
to other gardeners and growers that are out on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's so many fun things that you can do, and I've also been itching to take on a challenge. I really wanted to do a world record in largest indoor grown pepper. That kind of something for the Guinness, I think. It would be so much fun to see if I'm able to, if I spend 2-3 years and really get into it, if I can grow the largest pepper ever grown completely indoors. That's a challenge. Those are the kind of things that I would like to spend my spare time on in the future, and to just continue to push the limit of what's possible.
Yeah,
It's just too much fun.
exactly. Jay was mentioning here too, that new grow room must be a significant investment in so many ways, economic, disruption, etc.
Yeah, it's a major investment economically, but as I said, I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this from my work. I am doing a lot of things work-wise, which makes sense for me to build that building, and it's going to be connected to the office that I have. That's kind of the things that keep my ambitions going is my work, but the things that kills the time for my ambitions are work. So it's kind of just limping along, and hopefully it's gonna be there. But it's a huge investment in both time and economics, of course. But
Yeah,
it just says something about what I intend to do. I've been away from YouTube almost 2 years now. I think I've just been making one video here and there. Nothing big, but it's just building up the resources that I now have to be able to go forward with everything that I have. And I also want to do more traveling. And I owe you a visit. I
yeah,
know it. We've been talking about it for years. But
yes,
I wanna visit you, and I want to visit Khang. And then COVID came, and everything kind of just shut down, and all the conferences and everything that they just went away. So hopefully we are going back into a normal way of life now, and I can finally someday be able to have the time and resources to come visit. It would be fun.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to that idea ever since we first started talking about that years ago too. And I think that would make we have a really fun live stream, a real actual round table. We'll have to find a place with a round table and sit around it and do a live stream or something or whatever, just to have fun together, which would be really great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that sort of thing too as well. Like you said, about growing and doing those things in your growing space too. It's just, again, like I said, I guess the idea of just having these really cool things and showing this science level, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask you next too, because when you get into you talk about your work, but you do a lot of like the engineering or the technical stuff. One of the things I find really fascinating, like with some of your hydroponic stuff, is you've built your own like timer systems and your own electronics around this growing stuff too, which I think is really fascinating, and we'll make some really awesome videos when you get around to getting back into that. You want to talk a little bit more about that sort of end of what you do as well?
Yeah, so I started a series last year, and my ambition grew throughout the season, so I wasn't able to do the rest of what I intended to do last year. So it's going to be for this year, and I've been working a little bit on it this winter. And that's the automation and the computerization of my outdoor greenhouse, the geothermal greenhouse. I started last year about talking a little bit about the ventilation, what I was going to do and everything. And throughout the autumn and this winter, I've been collecting everything that I need, from wires to actuators to all sorts of valves and things. So now I'm working on the electronics of the thing, and I'm creating different sensor cards where you will have temperature sensors and everything, and you will have LoRa communication or something like that between everything. And that's going to be, most of the technical things is going to be on my technical channel, and the kind of overview of what I'm doing and how I'm moving forward with it, and what's my kind of chain of thoughts for why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's going to be something that I'm really going to start up once I get into the greenhouse and everything is frozen now. There's this chunk of ice holding the door, so I'm not able to get into the greenhouse yet. But once I get into the it's frozen solid. So but I'm going to do a lot of that this year, and that's something that I'm going to have to make videos on, because it's really interesting. I find it really interesting, and it's geared towards those who like technical things, but also might have a greenhouse of a decent size and really are looking into getting ideas on how to expand on automation. So I'm going to redo all my ventilation. It's going to be completely automated for every single one of my vents in the roof.
Oh, nice.
And also I'm going to have automatic watering system with valve controls and all those types of things. And everything is going to be controlled via temperature sensors and soil temperature sensors, and so, and also controlling the fans in the geothermal part of the greenhouse. So there's a tons of things going into that, and it's way above necessary, but it's something that I enjoy testing my brain on, and I feel like once I get the main computer completely built, it's actually going to be interesting for a lot of people, I think, to have the that kind of greenhouse brain that is completely designed from ground up to handle watering system, fan controls, and ventilation systems, all those types of things that people are doing this and that, and they have 10 systems to do everything. So
I think that sort of stuff is, really, like I said, for those who are really tech minded, those who can, really hands on themselves with that sort of level of, technology and abilities. But even so, for the rest of us too, who just find a lot of that stuff fascinating, to get the ins and outs. Nobody really dislikes like those how-to
No.
videos that really take you in depth in how things are made and put together and work. So I think that's really fascinating, when you get into putting those sort of videos together, for everybody else who even don't even understand it, to be able to watch and see how that stuff, is put together.
Yeah, but it kind of supersizes the issues that you have growing in a greenhouse, because everybody that grows in a greenhouse has to focus on watering, ventilation, and fan control.
Mhm.
That's kind of whatever size you have. You're still gonna have the same
Yeah.
challenges. So this kind of just blows it way up, and I can kind of nitpick at each of the things, and I can really dive into my experiences on what happens if I'm late at opening the vents in the morning. What happens if I'm late with watering? Should I water
Yeah.
in the morning? Should I water in the evening? I can do all kinds of
Yeah.
experiments on my greenhouse without
Yeah, with the
having to be.
automation, it's just kind of tweaking things here and there
Yeah,
and seeing what works best, on
yeah,
all of those different sort of things that we would have to actually go in and go out and hand do, in
yeah,
most places without that sort of automation. I
yeah,
think that's really, really fascinating.
yeah.
Let's see here. Uh Something Darthesk was asking. Speaking of, because they were talking about peas in the chat there. Has everybody planted peas already? I'm sure and I'm sure your outdoors not even ready for peas yet.
No.
So
Eat
yeah, you're
peas.
definitely not. Yeah, exactly. But no, I got my peas out though, man. I'm finally excited to see they're outgrowing. They're already about 4 or 5 inches now, getting ready to grab onto our trellis here real soon. And once those things start grabbing onto stuff, just when you see a pea plant just kind of explode.
Yeah.
The growth goes. I mean, as soon as that first tendril just grabs a hold of something and it knows it's got something there, boom, those plants will start taking off. And I can't wait. I love fresh peas myself too.
Our peas are going out in late May, I think.
Yeah, see, late May, this is where we're all getting our peppers out and our tomatoes. We're all thinking all that sort of stuff, and you're just out getting them cold season stuff going.
Yeah.
You poor guy up in Norway. But that's why you got all that cool indoor automated geothermal
I wouldn't change it for the
greenhouses and
world.
plant places, all that. So, even though you're living up there and all of that, you've got some amazing growing systems and things that just blow away what most of us can do, even when we live in the right climates.
Yeah, but I can do things that you have a hard time with doing, with potatoes and with all the green stuff. I can do that all summer long, and I can produce tons of those types of things, and carrots and parsnips and everything. It grows like weed up here. So I also have some nice advantages also. But peppers and tomatoes, nah, it's not made for this climate.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, again, too, first week of spring for everybody, and we got all of the excitement of growing anyways ahead of us. And just again, too, really great to have you here and join with us for a nice little conversation, our first week of spring. And unfortunately, it seems our good friend Khang has not made it with us today. See, someone was asking too here. I want to make sure I get let's see, Serena was asking, Norway, is that where Khang is? No, Khang is actually down in Texas. He grows and gardens out of Texas. I was hoping to get to talk to him about his farm. Last time I talked to him, he was planning all these ideas with this big, large space he's got now, and he's was planting out fruit trees and different
That's where
perennials.
we're going to do our live.
Yeah, exactly. We'll meet up in his big field of fruit trees and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch up with Kang here real shortly. We'll schedule another time where we can get you guys together here and do a real round table. That was kind of the idea is I wanted to test the idea. I don't usually have more than one guest on.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I actually had Joe and Corky. They were joining me from two different places, so I kind of got to test the 3 camera setup that I did here with the background and everything. So I was really kind of looking forward to really really testing the round table idea of what we're doing here for the show. But we'll just have to do that a little bit later.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else going on you want to let us know about here before we finish up the show?
No, I'm just happy to get invited. It's always fun to have a chat about gardening, and it's those kind of kicks in the back that I need. And I promise there's going to be more from me in the future, but for now, I just have to hunker down and get things ready and up and running, and do some building. And in the meantime, I'm just going to stick around in the garden and stay around in the community.
That's right. That's right. We really like what you do in the community. I look forward to, again, all of the really cool things you do. I mean, really. So, I mean, if anybody's watching too, there's I'm sure we've got a link down below in the description, and you got to check out like even these older videos that you have of some of the stuff that you grow in these growing spaces. It's just really cool. It's really fascinating stuff. So, like I said, we're all really excited about seeing some new content and really glad to bring you on the show and to have you here with us intermittently throughout the season to kind of give you a little poke, a little nudge. Come on, let's get growing.
I get you.
One of my oldest watchers. We've been kind of growing together here on YouTube over the years and all of that. So it's one of the cool things about having you as a friend, though, too, is that kind of mutual assurance and a mutual encouragement that we get from each other over the years too. It's really kind of for me at least, I know it really helps me kind of grow along too, to have such good friends in the gardening community.
Yeah, we kind of started our friendship the first video I made on YouTube, I think, and that has to be 8 years ago or something right now. So
I would say you were just ahead of me, probably several months. So I'd say
almost a year.
I'm going on about 7 years myself doing the channel, so that would make about 8 for you. And I just remember you getting a shout out from Ray Browning years ago about your channel, and I was like, oh well, let me go check this out, and right from there, started watching your first videos, and you
friends ever since.
Same thing, leaving nice comments and always encourage me along, dude. That's what it's about in the gardening community, though, too, is that it's one of the greatest communities there is, as far as different types of communities out there. I mean, there's a community for almost everything, every sort of endeavor, every hobby or sport or all that sort of stuff. And I just, I think that in the gardening community, we've got the best people. And again, too, like I said, your friendship really shows that as well, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to pretty much call it for Khang and visiting and seeing him. We'll have to send him some message and give him a little hard time about it a little bit later on. But we'll definitely get an invitation out and maybe have you guys back here in the next next coming months here to make sure we can do another roundtable. Who knows? Maybe we'll make a regular thing of it.
Yeah.
And do something as well too.
I'm all in.
Right on. Excellent. So anyways, thanks for joining me here, Christopher, for today's Sunday edition show. And again, hopefully we'll get to catch up with you here again real soon.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. And then I'll talk with you in just a little bit. We'll catch you all just a little bit later on another episode. And we'll be right back in just a moment. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right. So there we go. Another great episode of our Let's Get Growing show here on our Sunday edition. We unfortunately didn't get our third guest, Khang Starr, with us today for our roundtable, but maybe next time, as we mentioned, we'll do that as well. But thanks to Christopher Brandsdal for joining with us all the way from up in Norway and letting us know what he's got growing on in his gardens. And look forward to seeing some of the things that he's got coming up. And you can check in on his channel, like I said, in a link down below in the description. So let's see here. If you got any last minute questions or anything like that, jump in real quick here as we wind down our show for the day. There was a question that was asked just a little bit earlier. Let's see here. I'm not sure if I really got an answer for this, actually, but I did want to mention that they were asking. Maybe someone else might have an answer too. Serena Norell was asking just a little bit earlier, what do you do to encourage more female squash flowers and male flowers at the same time? I mean, because don't you notice that when you're growing your squash that it just seems like you've got tons and tons of the male flowers? And for those who might not know, your female flower is going to be the one that kind of has the little miniature fruit. You know, you can see the budding fruit kind of right underneath of where the flower is. And your male flower is just going to be a straight stem to a flower pretty much. And it just seems like that whenever you know, you've got tons of male flowers, you've got no female flowers. And it seems like that with all sorts of squash varieties. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I used to worry about that a lot at first. And you can, what you can do, you know, when you're getting those you know, as you're getting the female flowers and stuff, you can immediately maybe hand pollinate and do things to make sure that you're going to get fruit off of them. That's something I've done as well too. But I've grown some squash varieties, you know, the ones I really like spaghetti squash, butternut squash, these real vining varieties. And ultimately what I find out is I end up by the end of the season with more than I really need anyways. So when it comes down to it, I just kind of let them do their things and I grow more plants and then just to make sure that I am getting what I need to get to. But I do find that it's always the situation when I'm out there looking at the flowers and I'm looking at what's going on with the plant, that I'm seeing all of these male flowers and barely any female flowers. But you definitely want to make sure you've got enough to get those ones pollinated when they come up. And it usually seems to be the case ultimately for what I grow. So really in the long run, I don't really kind of pay too much attention to it when it comes down to a lot of the different squash varieties that I grow. I will, like I said, hand pollinate some as well as I notice, and just to be sure that I am going to get a fruit off of some of the ones that do pop up when they do. So I'm not sure if anybody else has any other better questions or any other reasons how they can promote more female flowers from popping up and doing that. But for the most part, again, I'm usually kind of a live and let live gardener, man. I just put some things out there and I let them do their thing. And if I'm only getting a few off of a plant, then that's kind of what I get. But for the most part, I ultimately find, like I said, I get plenty by the end of the season. In fact, we grew a bunch of squash over in our in our front yard micro farm over at my friend's place, we grew a row of spaghetti squash, and we had some butternut squash, and then there were some zucchini squash too. And I believe my friend's still eating on some of that spaghetti squash as well. He was telling me just the other day. So plenty that we grew, and there was only a couple of plants. I think we had 3 spaghetti squash plants ultimately. So, if you're growing plenty, you'll get plenty. I'm pretty sure of it. All right, everybody. And again, too, really great to have all of you here with us for the show today. And if you are here at the end of the show, again, be sure to click the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe button as well with the notifications so you can be notified of our upcoming shows. And also be sure to share our show and let everybody know all about what we've got growing on here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm not sure, I didn't ask Chris what it is Norway time, but it's pretty late, I'm pretty sure, up over there as well. So so again, too, each and every weekend we've got some great shows coming up ahead for all of you as well too. Again, like I mentioned, we do have next week is our pepper show. We have our super hot weekend, where on Saturday we will be interviewing Johnny Scoville and Jimmy Pickles. Both of them are stars of the Hulu series Super Hot, the spicy life of pepper people, a reality show that Hulu put together, highlighting all of the fun and craziness of the hot pepper, super hot pepper community. And it's going to be a great conversation to talk with Johnny and Jimmy about their experience with filming and being a part of that show. And as well as on Sunday, next week, we'll have with us Smokin' Ed Curry, who is the 2-time Guinness Book of World Records grower and cultivator of the world's hottest peppers, Carolina Reaper, and now the Pepper X. So again, really going to be fun and excited to talk to him about cultivating and growing these really super, super hot peppers. So really looking forward to that conversation with him next weekend on our show as well too. So definitely stop by and check out our show next weekend too. So definitely, let's see here real quick. Oh, Jay was saying Norway time. What is it? Oh, I think it might. Isn't it even later than that? I'm sure it's later than that even. Right? Well, I bet you it's 5 hours ahead of where you're at, Jay, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's quite a bit later. Right on. And and Serena was just asking too, as we were talking about, is Johnny Scoville the creator of the Scoville pepper heat scale? No, Johnny is not. Johnny is actually kind of, he created this name and this persona for himself as he developed and built out his channel and his online presence as a pepper tester, basically pepper tester. One of the things you get with his channel, and if you're watching his channel, it's called Chase the Heat. He's always testing out pepper sauces and different peppers. I mean, this guy can eat like platefuls. I've seen him eat dozen or more like Carolina Reapers in a sitting. He does these hot pepper eating competitions, testing out extracts. If you want to, it's one thing to eat one of these really super hot peppers at 1 million plus, almost 2 million. And I guess with the Pepper X, 2+ million, in fact 2.5+ million Scoville ratings on that Pepper X. But it's one thing to kind of eat those, but then you can extract that and get these extracts that are in the 10+ million Scoville heat ratings on those. And he'll taste and taste test those and all of that. The guy is just impervious to capsicum, which is the heat element in the peppers there too, that they use for that scale, and he just doesn't seem to be bothered by it at all. So I really he's really fun, and I really enjoy his channel and what he does with his content and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be great to talk to him about that. But there was another guy, and this was, I think, years ago, maybe even 100 years ago or so, maybe. I'm not sure exactly how long ago it was. I think it was Wilbur Scoville. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that correctly, but he was the one who was what the Scoville heat scale was named after. So Johnny just basically uses that for his last name for his channel and online persona and everything. But great guy, really awesome, really looking forward to talking to him next week as well too. And then Christopher jumped in there to say as well too, it's we have winter time now, and you have moved to summertime, and he says usually 9 hours between me and him. So me on the Pacific Coast time here, that's 9 hours difference for us. So yeah, he's on just a little bit later than I am. Oh, and let's see, Sarita was popping this little joke in here too, because we've been talking about peppers. And did you know that peppers are half peas? Yeah, half peas. That's right. There's a lot of peas and peppers. Picking peppers. I can't remember what that one was. Picking a peck of peppers or something. Peter pecked a peck. Again, you can really get tongue-tied with all those peas. So that's really big dog. Will was saying, my face is melting just hearing you talk about those peppers. Yeah, there's some really hot ones out there, and especially that Pepper X. So again, like I said, really excited about next week's show. So definitely come and make sure that you're joining with us next week for some really fun and exciting talk about super hot peppers and peppers in general. We're just going to dig into that. Again, one of my favorite things to grow. So it's going to be really fun to kind of highlight some folks in the pepper growing community. So definitely look forward to that. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining with us here. And like I said, be sure to click the like button as you're heading out. Go and check out our sponsor, IV Organics, at ivorganic.com. Use our code GROW10 in their shop. You got to get some of that 3-in-1 plant guard if you don't already. And then before we go as well too, I want to make sure to let you all know about our gardening community on Facebook, at our Facebook group, the Let's Get Growing Gardening group. You can find a link to that right down in the description as well too. So be sure to follow all of our links down below, and we'll see all of you on our next show this next weekend. We'll see you next weekend.